Hello, I'm Anelise Borges and you're watching Tech24. Coming up in today's show, we take you to the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona for a look at the latest trends, innovations, and developments driving the tech world. The future has arrived, and it is portable. Inaugurated in 1987, the Mobile World Congress started as an event exclusively for mobile phone manufacturers and operators. Back then, the mobile phone looked kind of like this. We have come a long way since, and this year's edition reflected just that, with around 60,000 attendees gathered in 240,000 square meters. The Mobile World Congress was the place to be for techies from all around the world who wanted to witness how the whole of the internet is now portable, be it on your phone, your car, your clothes, or even your toothbrush.
Long gone are the days when all drivers wanted from a car was to get from A to B. Now it's also about staying connected. Vehicles with 4G capabilities are proving increasingly popular, and at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, a new breed of smart cars can key into the Wi-Fi systems built into tablets and smartphones.
These connected car radio systems are now one of the top decision-making factors when people are deciding to buy a new car. So it was lower on the list about a couple of years ago. Now it's one of the top 5 decision-making processes.
And while you might think brushing your teeth is a private matter for you and your toothbrush, this device uses sensors to monitor the pressure and duration of your brushing. It then uses Bluetooth to file a report to your smartphone, social network, or even your dentist to let them know if your brushing needs brushing up.
We have one of the first sensors there, which is pressure. So when you press too hard, you have the pressure that is actually being shown on the screen. So that way you can apply the right pressure when you brush to remove the plaque.
And the days of claiming you worked harder in the gym than you actually did may well be over. These shirts have sensors woven into the material to measure your performance.
What we're showing here is a team of basketball players wearing a shirt, and the material actually senses their body temperature, their heart rates, so you can manage their performance and help them become better players.
While some consumers may not want to play ball with devices they see as intruding on their privacy, there's no doubt others are keen to get their hands on tomorrow's devices today.
And to get a better look at what really goes on in Barcelona, I'm now pleased to be joined by Trista Bridges from the Rude Baguette, the co-founder of the French tech news site. Trista, thank you so much for joining us today. Trista was in Barcelona, and you wrote about seeing the words connected living pretty much everywhere in the event. Would you say we have witnessed a historical edition thanks to the internet evolving and all these services going mobile?
I'd say absolutely. Thanks so much for having me today, actually. And I wanted to say, actually, that I saw a recap of the event, and the top trending word on Twitter for Mobile World Congress this year was Internet of Things, which implies that things are really moving in a substantially different direction from, I believe, what the Congress was before. So all week there were announcements coming out about new connected devices. It started over the weekend with Samsung, who announced their revised Galaxy Gear products that are actually including the Tizen operating system. So that was kind of in the wearable space, but also we saw a lot of things too, just around the connected home. For example, there was a connected city that Mobile World Congress did this year, and there was a lot of interesting innovations there from AT&T, from Deutsche Telekom, which is doing a connected stadium, from all types of companies. Orange, for example, that's doing a lot around connected health. So there's a lot going on in terms of innovation from large companies and small as well. And they were all on site at Mobile World Congress this year.
Now, Trista, we saw many key, very important figures of the tech world heading to Barcelona. I'm obviously thinking about Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg. He was the star of the show in some sorts, no?
I'd say so, just to the fact that, there were 5 overflow rooms just to hear him speak. But actually, the interesting thing about his talk was that he spoke most of the time about the problems around connectivity and connecting the rest of the world. So he's a part of an initiative called internet.org. And that initiative is all about getting the 4.3 billion people who are not yet connected on the internet connected. So he spoke a lot about that as opposed to speaking about Facebook. Obviously, their acquisition of WhatsApp came up, and that was a bit of a topic of discussion. But he insisted on that subject that WhatsApp is going to continue to remain an autonomous product, and they actually won't be integrating with Facebook. So keeping WhatsApp users is quite happy and also important to the objectives of Facebook.
Now, there were other keynotes from famous speakers, and there were also mobile phone releases. This is, after all, a mobile phone fair. Catherine Viette filed this report about the major launches at the fair.
It's the market leader in smartphones, and it's upping the ante at the Mobile World Congress. In a bid to ward off a rising challenge from China, Samsung is betting on biometrics.
We've talked about the health monitoring, the heart rate monitoring side of the phone, and also in the wearable devices. We're going to see great new innovations with people who, take health and fitness to whole new levels.
The heartbeat monitoring on the Galaxy S5 is a world first, and it's designed to work in conjunction with the company's smartwatches. Samsung made about 30% of all smartphones sold last year, nearly twice the share of arch rival Apple, which once again skipped the event. Nokia, which was once a market leader, is struggling to stay relevant. Bought by Microsoft, it's turned to rival Google to power its new line of phones, the X and X Plus, a move that's left some analysts scratching their heads.
I think it'll be really interesting to see how long Microsoft supports this project and this strategic push once the acquisition closes.
The growth area for mobile phone companies is now in emerging markets, where low-cost Android models sell particularly well. More than 1.1 million devices running Android are expected to ship this year, compared with just 360,000 using the Windows operating system.
Now, Trista, did you have a chance to put your hands in some of these new models? What did you think of the Samsung S5, for example?
Unfortunately, I didn't, because I was running all over the place. And as you said, it's 240,000 square meters of space is a lot to cover. But I have read a lot about it, and I saw a lot of the press releases coming out. And it's not necessarily something I think that's super innovative, but I would say that it's actually, there's a lot of connectivity within the phone. So this idea we talked about before, kind of the connected world, Internet of Things, it looks like it's moving in that direction. So, for example, there's a fingerprint reader, and there's also a heart rate monitor in the phone. So those are exciting new developments as well as apparently it's going to have substantially new, better battery life. So we'll see how it does when it's released.
Now, perhaps one of the least talked about aspects of the fair is the potential for mobile technology to empower people and communities. For more on that aspect, I am pleased to be joined by Jake Kendall from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me on the show.
I was going to ask you, first of all, what was the Gates Foundation looking for in Barcelona?
Well, just for a little context on the Gates Foundation, we're the largest private philanthropy in the world. We give away about $4 billion or a little more to programs all over the world. And our main goals are to help the poor in developing countries in areas like better health care, better profits from their farming, financial services, all kinds of other economic development programs. We see a lot of potential in the area of using mobile to support those kinds of programs, and that's basically what we're doing in Barcelona.
And how exactly, give us a couple of examples of how mobile technology can help empower people.
Well, I see it in two ways. So mobile technology in the hands of poor people can empower them, can be their window or their connection to the world. It can be the way that they stay in touch with family and friends, of course, but also the way that they access vital services. So I'll give you an example from our team's work. My team at the foundation works on financial services for the poor. And one of the areas that we see a lot of really exciting possibilities are in mobile banking, where poor people can access bank accounts and mobile wallets right through their mobile phone, and potentially other things like credit and insurance. In one program where there was a very rigorous piece of research done by some guys at MIT and some professors at Georgetown, they were actually able to show that when you give people a mobile phone, they're much better able to deal with the kinds of economic shocks and emergencies that happen a lot to poor people, unfortunately, in developing countries. So, people have someone in their house get malaria, or have a farm implement that's very important to their livelihood break down. And unlike you or I, who has health insurance or can get a loan to get a new piece of equipment, they don't really have any other option. The people who were given mobile bank accounts, mobile wallets, were able to reach out to their family, their friends, to other people who they know, get the money quickly, and survive the shock without nearly as much damage to their household finances and to their health and other outcomes. So it's just, to me, it really shows that it's not about only, sort of giving money to help people, but when you actually empower them with those kind of mobile tools, they can help themselves in really ingenious ways.
All right, so we're showing that in Barcelona is much more than just releasing new mobile phones. It's also trying to help connect and empower people. Thank you so much, Jake, for joining us today. And I also want to thank Trista Bridges from the Root Baguette. And thank you for tuning in for another edition of Tech24. That's all we have time for. Do get in touch with us on Facebook or on Twitter. Our hashtag is Tech24. And we leave you today with more images of the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. Stay with us here on France 24.
Talk.